Hello everyone, this is CJ with Cycletron. I appreciate all of the interest and support you've provided to my recent videos. Based on this feedback, I realized there might be some interest in how to approach buying a Harley Davidson motorcycle. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Now, if you have experience with buying other brands of motorcycles or say cars, this experience still may not fully prepare you for the hardcore sales practices employed by some Harley Davidson motorcycle dealers. The main thing to keep in mind is to have fun with the process and don't get stressed out. If a dealer is stressing you out, just leave and go somewhere else. The first step in buying a motorcycle is obviously to decide the year, model, and color, and whether you plan to buy a new or used bike. Let's say you want to buy a new 2020 Street Glide Special in the Performance Orange color. I really like this bike and this color. Now, as a backup, I figure out what other color bike I would consider buying in case they didn't have the orange bike in stock, like let's say the one in stone washed white pearl. Keep in mind they could probably get the bike in the color that you want by trading with another dealer, but this isn't going to get me the best deal if they've got to make a trade. So let's assume that you're going to try and get the best deal on a bike, so you're not going to the dealer on the first warm Saturday in the spring if you live in the Midwest, or you're not going to go to the dealer in July and tell them you want to buy a bike to ride to Sturgis, since you'll lose a lot of leverage in these instances. If you can, buying a bike in the winter or choosing a prior year bike after the new models hit the showroom floor can often save you the most money. Now, with any other brand of motorcycle or with a car, I will call or email the internet sales manager or the sales manager, tell them which bike I wanted, see if they had one in stock, then ask for their out-the-door price excluding sales tax. That is just the cost of the bike plus whatever fees they would charge, such as freight, setup, and documentation charges. The problem is I've never gotten a Harley dealer in my metro area to give me such pricing over the phone or through email. Most of these dealers won't even list prices of new bikes on their website or even in their showroom. So the next step I would normally do is to go to CycleTrader and search for the bike and sort from low price to high price. You do this with other manufacturer of bikes. You often see dealers selling certain bikes below MSRP. Now, some of this is clickbait, but some are legitimate deals, so you'll have to follow up with phone or email contact on the CycleTrader site and confirm the out-the-door price. Unfortunately, CycleTrader is of no help, as of all the new Harleys are listed at or above MSRP. So if you get lucky and find a dealer who will give you detailed pricing information before actually going to the dealership, that's great. Otherwise, you're going to have to enter the arena or the octagon, that is, go to the dealer and try to negotiate a good deal. Now, before you head to the dealer, contact your bank or credit union to find out what loan amount you qualify for and at what interest rate and terms. Also, what kind of down payment you'll have to include. They will also give you an approximate monthly payment amount. Buying a bike with no trade is clearly the easiest way to know what kind of deal you're getting on a new bike. But if you have a bike to trade, go to sites such as NADA or Kelley Blue Book to get a handle on your trade value. Also, you should check CycleTrader to see what similar bikes are selling for in your area. You can also check to see if the dealer where you plan to go is already selling a bike similar to yours. Keep in mind that most dealers are going to try and make at least $1,000 profit by taking your bike and flipping it on your trade, so be realistic in what a fair trade value will be for your bike. Finally, if you owe money on the bike, call your lender to get a 10-day payoff number. When you go to the Harley dealer, initially focus solely on the price of the new or used bike. If they ask you whether you're going to trade in a new bike, say you don't know yet. Now, I'm all for operating in good faith, but there's no reason to share all of your information with the dealer right out of the gate if you're dealing with a high-pressure sales operation, which some Harley Davidson dealers clearly are. Keep in mind that they are professional salespeople. They do this many times a day, and compared to them, we're simply amateur buyers. Ask them for the out-the-door price excluding sales tax. That is the price of the bike plus any fees like freight, setup, and documentation fees on the new motorcycle. Keep negotiating step by step. Don't go to the next step, which would be the value of your trade if you have one, until you're satisfied with the price of their bike you want to buy. Whatever you do, don't get pulled into the Foursquare close scam. I talk about this in another video. The goal of the Foursquare close is to confuse you and get you to make a purchase decision based solely on the monthly payment. I had a dealer try to trick me into paying $43,000 for a $29,000 Street Glide special one time using this 4-square trickery. In following my advice, you're basically following each section of the 4-square close, except you're only doing 1 square at a time and not all at once like they try and do to confuse you. So for a Harley Street Glide special, I tried to get the bike at MSRP, including the cost of all their extra fees, but I'd probably start out with the price of the bike plus the fees and be about $1,000 below that amount. So in other words, MSRP plus their fees minus $1,000. This is where they'd probably say they can't sell below MSRP because the bikes are in such high demand due to limited production. The limited production is true to some extent, but there are also fewer people buying motorcycles these days, and even fewer people buying Harleys, as they are losing market share each year. I think their market share is down around 42% of the big 600cc plus displacement bikes these days, when it used to be well over 50% a few years ago. I mean, they told me the same thing, that there weren't enough bikes to go around back in 2018, but I knew better because there was a ton of bikes sitting around on the showroom floor. Hopefully with some back and forth, I hold strong and they agreed to sell at MSRP, including their extra fees. Now, I've been in the position where I was about $800 above MSRP with their fees, and thought, yeah, that's close enough, let's get this deal done. And then what turned out to be my secret weapon, that is my wife, steps in. I was ready to do the deal, and my wife says she'll only agree to the price at MSRP out the door with no other charges. I mean, the reason I got into this position is I've bought and traded about 8 bikes in the last 6 years. I kept getting sport bikes thinking she'd be comfortable riding 2 up until I found out otherwise and started getting touring bikes. I explained to the sales manager, and hopefully by this point you're dealing with a sales manager or general manager, with my wife out of earshot, that I was sorry, but she wouldn't go for the deal and we'd have to walk if they didn't take it. I didn't intend for things to happen this way, but it worked out well, and I was surprised they took my wife's deal, and I was glad I got the bike at her price. Otherwise I've been in the doghouse for spending too much. So let's say right now I'm at a total of $28,500. That includes the price of their bike, all their fees, and I'm going to get roughly $500 in dealer installed accessories. This is a good point to negotiate any accessories that you want to have put on the bike, because you can include that in the financing if you need to, and also they'll typically take 20 to 30% off between the price of the accessory and its installation. They're probably more inclined to discount accessories than they are the price of the bike. Now let's go back to the negotiation, assuming that you have a bike to trade in. Once you're satisfied that they've gone as low as possible on the price of their new bike, and assuming you're okay with that price, tell them that you've decided that you can't really afford to keep your old bike and will need to trade it in. If it's a non-Harley, it may take more time for them to come up with a number for your trade. They may need to call other non-Harley dealers or a motorcycle wholesaler. I've tried calling a Harley dealer in advance about my potential trade in the past, and just like trying to get a price of their new bike over the phone, they wouldn't tell me anything without being there in person. So let's say you reasonably trade your bike for around the Kelley Blue Book trade value, or the bottom end of the NADA value, which would leave you netting around $1,000 for your trade after you account for what you owe on the bike. The dealer may say he will only give you enough for, say, $500 net on your trade. This might be close enough to do the deal, but likely they'll make you an offer that is far lower, maybe just enough to cover what you owe, or worse yet, what would cause you to have negative equity that have to be added to the cost of the new bike. They may really try to devalue your trade if it's a non-Harley in particular, since most Harley dealers won't sell other brands even if they're used. But the fact is, they might own a sister metric store, be buddies with a non-Harley dealer nearby, or simply sell the bike to a wholesaler, so they should really be able to flip your trade in some fashion without too much difficulty. So just like with the price of the new bike, you may have to decide if you're happy with the trade-in price. If so, time to move on to the next step. Tell them you'll buy the new bike at the price you agreed to earlier if they will take your trade-in bike at what you agreed to, but only if they agree to finance at a rate lower than what you got from your bank or credit union. Say you got your bank or credit union to approve you at 4% APR for 60 months with a minimum down payment of $1,500, which your trade would cover. Tell them if they can get below 4%, you will finance with them. If not, tell them you'll have to do the deal with an outside lender, and be sure to note as much on the sale agreement that it's subject to approved financing at 4% or lower. In all likelihood, they'll just slightly beat the 4% or match the 4% to get the deal done on the spot. If you don't have a trade-in bike, be prepared to put at least 10 or 15% down payment on the bike. At the end, be sure that all of your numbers are correct for sales price, trade-in value, and payment terms, and get all those numbers correctly transferred to the sales contract. Also, beware of them inflating your monthly payment amount by some seemingly small number like $20 a month after you've already checked all the correct numbers. I've had this happen to me a number of times. If you're going for a 60-month loan, this small increase would cost you an extra $1,200 in payments over the course of the loan, wiping out your hard-fought negotiated price on the price of the new bike or trade-in. That's why I like to use my smartphone and plug in all the numbers myself to check what the dealer is doing. You can go to the various websites for loan calculators like this one from the NADA website. If you end up walking on the deal, keep in mind all your numbers that you talked about with this dealer, and go to a different dealer. Even if it was a dealer that wouldn't give you the time of day at first, you've got a lot more detailed information with which to negotiate. Ask for the sales manager or even general manager and see if they agree to your numbers for the price of the bike and the value of your trade before you even go there. You might even do this with an out-of-town dealer. You could do the paperwork over the internet or fax. I mean, some people still fax, and you can even have them deliver the bike to you. Even if you have to pay a delivery fee, you could end up saving more money on the deal. Now let's go talk about extended warranties for a minute. Prepaid service plans, VIP service plans, gap insurance, and we've already talked about the accessories. I usually skip the extended warranties and prepaid maintenance, which is a good thing since I ended up frequently trading bikes the last few years. They'll try and tell you that these items will add value to a trade-in, but you only get pennies on the dollars, if anything, at trade-in. VIP plans are a waste of money, in my opinion. This is where they offer to expedite servicing your bike or will offer to pick it up and bring it back to your home and business. Some dealers will do this for free, especially in the Midwest during winter months when their service department is often pretty slow. Now, for prepaid maintenance, I have dealers tell me that, your bike is going to need to be maintained, so why not go ahead and pay for it and get a discount? My answer is just because I know I'm probably going to eat at McDonald's 50 times or more over the next year doesn't mean I'm going to prepay for my Big Macs. They generally don't appreciate this response, but with so many Harley Davidson dealers going out of business these days, do you really want to risk prepaying for a service that you might not be able to take advantage of nearby? As far as gap insurance, you should get this if you rolled a lot of negative equity from your trade into the purchase of the new bike, or if you're not putting much of a down payment down. This type of insurance pays the difference between what you owe on a bike and the market value of the bike in the event of a loss, like collision, theft, or vandalism. So good luck out there. My parting thoughts are no dealers will sell you anything cheaper than they want to, and you don't have to buy it for more than you want to. Hopefully, in the end, you'll end up with a bike that will provide you with many years of enjoyable riding. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe.